This is Megan Kane.
And this is Jim J. Bullock.
And we're doing
in Hairspray at the Arvada Center.
And you're watching In Focus.
Welcome to In Focus with Eden Lane.
Tonight, we return to the Arvada Center for the regional premiere of Hairspray the Broadway Musical. We joined them during rehearsals before their 4-star review. Later, I meet with costume designer for the production, Project Runway star Mondo Guerra. He tells us what it feels like to get back to his roots. Arvada Center artistic producer and director of this production, Lansberry, tells us about how he chose Hairspray. But we begin our backstage dressing room visit with two of the stars, Megan Kane and Jim J. Bullock. How did you guys get cast in this show? How did that happen? Let's start there.
You go first.
Okay. I live in New York City. And I got a call from my agent just saying that, an opportunity had arisen to go in and audition for the Arvada Center's production of Hairspray.
Had you been here before?
Never.
Had you heard of it before?
I heard of the theater, yes. Rave
That's
reviews.
a good place to start.
Of course, yes. No, a lot of actors in New York have worked here, had the pleasure of working here, and speak very highly of the theater. And so I knew of the theater. But never been to Colorado, never been to Denver ever. And so, Rod was up with the casting directors in New York, and I went in, had what I thought was a less than mediocre audition.
Really?
Yeah, it was horrible. I thought.
Why did you think it was horrible?
Oh, because I messed up the words to the entire song that I sang.
And because we all watch those talent shows, we know that messing up the words is the cardinal sin, right?
Of course, and that never happens to me. I went in and I was just like, blank.
Were you singing a regular audition song or something from the show?
Good Morning Baltimore, and I literally sang over and over and over and over again the same 5 words. Go to the symphony, I think, is all I sang for the entire audition. And I stopped when I finished singing, and I was like, okay, bye. And Rod was like, no, wait. I was like, oh, okay. And so then I had a call back, and then I got a call saying I got the part.
So you hadn't played this part or been in this show before?
Never.
You have.
I have.
Well, you've been in the show, but the opposite part.
Right. This is the amphibian Hairspray because I've been both the male and female. So, my journey with Hairspray started in 2004 in New York, and I went into the Broadway company playing the male authority, which is sort of a multi-character in the show, who's here in this production is broken down. There's an actor for each one of these 5 characters that I had to play on Broadway. I mean, all I was doing when I first started the show was running backstage and changing costumes and wigs and everything, but it was fun. But then I did Wilbur. I went on tour.
Was that in 07?
07. I went on 05, 06.
On tour.
I was on tour as Wilbur on a national tour, and then went back to New York and played Wilbur on Broadway. And really thought my journey with Hairspray was kind of over, but I had said to my agent I would really love the opportunity to try to do Edna. That's what I originally wanted, but I didn't get it. So, but I thought I need a longer rehearsal process than just a week. And so when the Arvada came and they said we have a 2.5, almost 3-week rehearsal, it was like, oh, I want to audition for it. And so they saw me. I, on the opposite you, had a great audition, which I normally never. I have 5 in my life, and I've had 5 jobs. And I've had 5 great auditions. So I had a really good audition. I felt great about it, and I thought if the only reason I wouldn't get this is because I'm not fat enough. It's true. It's true.
Yep.
When you had played Wilbur before, and you said you had a desire to play Edna. And we know that you have, done cabaret and all this, so you must have at least played with some of the material before, yes?
Well, I was supposed to understudy in New York, Edna. I was supposed to understudy for her, but they never made me. We would go to understudy rehearsal and they'd go, you're never going to play this role. And I'd go, I know I'm never going to play the role, so why go to the trouble of learning it? So I did one understudy rehearsal of Mom, I'm a Big Girl Now, and I learned stop, don't, know, and that was it. And that's all I ever knew. Stop, what is it? Stop, don't, know. And that's all I ever learned of the Edna track.
You didn't go to an open call, though. Did you make an appointment for an audition? Or
my agent called, and when they were in L.A., because they went Denver, L.A., and I think New York. Mm-hmm. And when they were in L.A. auditioning, I got in on that.
So how did you even find out about it?
My agent.
Your agent knew, and you had already planted that seed that someday you'd love to.
I told him last year, because I did Hairspray in Pittsburgh last year playing Wilbur, but it was only a 3-week production. So 2-week run, 1-week rehearsal. And after that, I said, I'll always do Wilbur because I'm a whore for money. And so, and I will, and I want to work, and I love the show. I do love the show. I absolutely think Hairspray is such a joyride for all of us and for the audience. It's a giant joy machine. It's such a great, and it's got meaning and merit to it. So I will always love doing this show, but that's when I put in the little seed in my manager's head last year that I wanted to do Edna.
There's something fun about being an artist who gets to do a show with great entertainment value, lots of fun, that still has some soul to it, some message. I mean, that sounds corny, but it really kind of does.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that one of the reasons that you wanted to do it, or are you just like you just wanted
A whore for money?
I wasn't going to say that. Thank you for picking up my cue.
Oh my God.
No, absolutely. I've always wanted to do this show. I think it's, like he said, it's so full of joy, so full of heart. But there is an amazing message. It's, like I say, Tracy doesn't see in color. She doesn't see black and white. She sees in heart. She sees in soul. And I think if we could all have a little bit more of Tracy Turnblad in her, in us, the world would be like a better place. As corny as that sounds, but the show has so much heart, has so powerful of a message, and
beyond not seeing in color, she also doesn't see in shape or size or ability or anything like that.
Yeah, it's got a great message of acceptance.
We know that most audiences are really familiar with this. If they haven't seen it on stage before, they're probably at least familiar with the movie, which is very different in many, many ways, not the least of which is the approach to the character of Edna.
Right.
So tell me about your approach to Edna.
Well, the original John Waters film, the '88 John Waters film, was played by Divine. I can't really get into the reasons why I think John Waters had a man play a woman, other than it was just another way of putting acceptance into this and sort of crossing that gay straight line back in the 80s, and when it was sort of an uncomfortable, really uncomfortable issue to deal with. But I don't know that I have any special take on it. I'm just doing what the script says. I understand Hairspray a lot because I've done it so much, and I think Edna's journey is, from sort of having given up midlife and sort of this frumpy person who, being in my 50s and knowing that midlife kind of crisis
we can
you go
edit
through.
That part out.
I know, no, thank you. Being in my 20s. Oh, 20s. I hope I get to my 30s. No, but I mean, it's easy to believe what the media tells us that we're done with. We sort of trash our elderly in our country, and glamorize the youth.
Or discard anybody who doesn't fit a very narrow definition of whatever the category is.
Right, exactly. So it's easy, if you've had some hard licks, to not lay down and just take it, And Edna, because of Tracy's journey, because of what happens to her, and her love, their love for each other, this family, Wilbur and Edna and Tracy, finds new life and rediscovers and has a second,
Because of her daughter.
Because of her daughter, yeah.
Is that what drew you so long ago to want to play Edna, or was it the music, or was it a combination of things? What was it about Edna that made you want to play her so much?
Well, it was it was a role that I went, I can do that. I can't look at every role and go, I can do that. I would never look. No, no. But Edna was something I went, oh my God, I could do that. And so that was my first desire in wanting to do it. And then after I got to learn about Hairspray and understand it better, I went, oh my God, it's such a great role. And the music, you can't beat the music. It's fantastic. Never get tired of it. Ever, ever, ever get tired of it.
Well, we have 6 weeks to see you, and I know no one in Colorado is going to be able to get tired of it in that short amount of time. You talked about other runs being only 2 or 3 weeks, but 6 weeks seems still pretty short for the amount of work that you're putting into it. Tell me about that. What's the work like?
It's a lot. This show.
You have a lot.
It's when you look at the script or when you look at the movie or a production of it, it just, because there is so much joy and because there is so much fun that is just being thrown out on stage, it doesn't really, from a naked eye seem like it would be that much work. But this show, the ensemble has to sing in essentially every number in 4 or 5-part harmony, and the dancing is very rigorous, and it's in every number, and that's what makes this show so special and so unique. So the workload has been a lot. It's been very tiring, but very rewarding and exciting, and I think it's going to show on opening night.
She really carries the show, and amazingly beautifully. Not just blowing hot air, but I mean, you are so talented and you're so perfect for this role. But Tracy she carries it. She's got the load. I've got some scenes and numbers, but nothing like what she has to do. It's crazy.
There are a lot of important relationships in this story, but one of them that we don't often get to see in a big splashy musical is a mother-daughter, and often we see moments where it's played for real, like a real relationship. Is that how you're approaching it?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Being on stage with him is just like a joyride, It's like you never know what you're going to get, but it's consistent and it's fun, and so we're able to play.
Working with Jim J. Bullock is like a box of chocolates.
It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, but it's always gonna be something good.
You'll never get the line as it's written. That's for sure.
Stop. Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
No, we totally want to play it real. It is, the one thing they said from the get-go about Edna is that she's not a drag queen. This is not a man playing a woman. You become Edna, you become a mother, and your scenes are real, and you care for your daughter just as if you were her mother. And I love those are the scenes I look forward to, because I love the honesty about those moments. They're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful.
And I think it's a surprise in this gem of a show to find those moments.
Truthful moments.
Yeah, and whether you're a father or a mother, it doesn't matter. We all have those feelings that are universal in us, so,
So Megan, the role that you're about to play, she's a role model in the show, in her community. So that can't help but spill over to how you might be viewed by some young women who are coming to see you. How does that feel?
Amazing. Amazing. I hope I can do that for young women, and help them see something that's in them or could be in them. And amazing. This part is seriously such a joy to play, and she is discovering life, and she's discovering love, and she's discovering relationships with her mom, with her dad, with her lover, with the Black community, with everything in life she's discovering and grasping and taking. And yeah, what a joy. And I'm finding new things every time we do a run of the show, because she really is just so excited about life, no matter the setbacks or how people may perceive her. She just goes for it.
Well, I know that we can feel your joy already, and you haven't even opened yet. I'm so excited to come and see it.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming in early.
Oh, of course.
Is this almost your tech week, right?
It is tech week.
Yeah, it's crazy week.
Preview week.
What a generous thing you did to come in to talk to us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us on your show. And y'all come and see it.
Next, Hairspray's costume designer at the Arvada Center, Project Runway's Mondo Guerra.
So this is our second time getting
Yes.
to chat. This is going to have to be much briefer because you're in the mix of finishing up your costume designs for Hairspray at the Arvada Center.
Right, yes. We've started first dress rehearsal, second dress rehearsals tonight. You know, after you see it once. I mean, when I do it, I think about it in my head. It's totally different from doing runway because I have a little bit more control on that, especially since I'm like always with it. But here, I think I have a team of 8 stitchers downstairs, so it's hard to really be here and there and everywhere. So when I
And
see it,
Are some of them still here from when you...
oh yeah, Betsy is still here. She's the one that hired me about 7 years ago. Meredith is still here. Joni is still here. So there's some new faces, but there's some, I don't want to say old faces because I don't want to offend anybody.
Familiar faces.
Familiar faces, yes.
What does it feel like? I mean, we always hear that cliche about things being a full circle moment, but you had some of your foundation built here, and then you went on to this success, and now you're
Right.
invited back to do the costumes. What does that feel
Well,
like?
foundation started even earlier than even coming here to start stitching. I came here when I was in preschool to see a production of Cinderella, and I remember that day. It totally changed my life. I think that was like the first time I ever saw a stage performance and something visual and interactive, and so, you know, that really inspired me. Yeah, but I guess, yeah, being invited to come back, I had told Rod that I was interested in doing something. I was planning on just doing a children's show. I didn't really plan on doing a main stage show, but when this came up, he asked me if I was interested, and I should have thought a little bit more before I said yes, because you know what, it's turned out to be a huge show. I think there's 34 in the cast, and everybody has, you know, 4 to 6 costumes. It's pretty major, you know, and there's a big woman in this show that is played by a man, so, you know, those were some things that we ran into.
Did you have to build the fat suits too?
Yeah, I had 2 women working downstairs building the fat suits. They look great. I'm really excited for you to see them. They're like beyond belief. Like, they're really, really cool and convincing. It's hard to make a male weigh 350 pounds. I think she might be even 400 pounds. Yeah, she's pretty big. She's a big girl.
So what is it about the aesthetics of your approach to Hairspray that we can look for?
Well, of course, there's lots of color.
I would have never expected that.
There's lots of color. There's lots of pattern. And, you know, it's like this whole time period of the early 60s, you know, I really love just the silhouettes and the nice lines of it. They're very simple lines, but lots of, you know, little details and lots of different textiles, which are, you know, that are seen throughout the show. And then, you know, with Edna and Tracy, Welcome to the 60s, you know, we got to push it a little bit more. And even for the finale, I wanted to really push them, like, forward. And so I'm doing something kind of like a tribute to Paco Rabanne. You'll see what it all looks like when you see it on the stage.
What a fabulous take.
Yes, it's pretty fun. I mean, it's totally 60s.
When you have finally recovered from this work, what is it that you're planning to do next?
Well, I am opening the show Tuesday, the 21st, and then I start traveling again on the 22nd. So
we lose you right away?
yes, I've been here for 3 weeks. It's nice to sleep in my own bed, but, you know, like, I really haven't had any time off. It's just work. But I enjoy it, you know. It keeps me going. It keeps me looking forward to putting on the next hat and doing something else. So we'll see what happens.
Can you tell us what the next hat is?
Oh, I'm going to Kansas City to open one of their performing arts centers, having a gala for their grand opening, and so I'm going to do a kind of master class with some students, and then I'm going to do a small runway show collection for their evening gala. So it should be fun.
Well, it's nice to sort of steal a little bit of your time and catch up with you again. I can't wait till we have a chance to sit down and really dig into what you're doing now.
Yes.
I'm delighted that you're doing this. I have to say, Hairspray is one of my favorite shows. And then when I heard you were doing the costumes, it's that extra little je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, yes. It's good. I saw the first dress rehearsal on Sunday night, and I was really, really into it, you know? I don't think I was even taking as many notes as I should have because I was just into the performance and the story, and it's really good. So
That's a good sign.
definitely have to check it out, Eden.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
All right, thank you.
And finally, we meet with artistic producer and director for Hairspray, Rod Lansberry.
So this is your tech week for Hairspray, and you're already prepping for the next musical to follow.
That's correct.
Ragtime.
Ragtime.
So excited that you selected that as part of your season. But today we're here to talk about Hairspray. It's almost ready for us all to come.
It will be 3 days before we have our first audience, and that's our volunteer dress rehearsal, and that gives us a chance. That's we have a massive volunteer corps here at the center, and one of the advantages of being a volunteer is that they get invited to that final dress rehearsal. And for us, it's a great transition from having no audience into having an audience before it's a paid audience. So it gives us a lot of time to adjust and, again, judge audience reactions, see what works, what's not working. And we do that through the entire preview process through Sunday night. So we work every day on changing things, adjusting things. So every show from Thursday night through Sunday night will still be a different show until it opens on Tuesday.
Because you do double duty for this one, it must be because you love it. Otherwise, you really wouldn't choose to direct as well.
It really, it's true. And the combination of being the producer here and directing shows, I certainly don't direct every show, but there are certain shows that, one, I have a feeling that it's an affinity that that's the show I want to work with. And also they tend to be our largest shows, which means they tend to be the highest budget productions and some of the more complicated productions. And it's not so much that that's what I'm drawn to, but sometimes I also feel that it's unfair to put a new outside director into that position, because I have to watch the budget as well, and when it's all on me, then it certainly makes it, it's easier to contain and control things that are going on and watching it as it goes through the process.
What caused you to pick Hairspray as part of the season this year?
Hairspray, normally in the summer we try and keep our productions light. We've had good success with the more rock and roll shows, those high energy productions, because it is summer, and going and sitting inside a theater is not normally what you want to do in Colorado. So trying to get those high energy shows is usually where the selections I look for. Hairspray has been on the top of my list for years, but because of the touring contracts that were out
And a movie.
and the movie, and they kept touring it, which means I can't, as a regional theater, I can't get the professional rights to it. So it was really, I had to wait until they finally said, no, we don't plan to take it back to Colorado again, because Denver is such a great market for these shows. And so they would bring them back. And I had to wait. It took me 3 years almost before I was able to get them to agree that no, they weren't foreseeing another tour coming through.
If I'm not mistaken, this is the regional debut of a locally produced
Correct.
version of this show.
That's correct. It is the first version done in Colorado that isn't based on the original and a copy on the tours.
So what can we look for in this one?
A great cast. The music, it's funny. Certainly you get used to, whenever you're working on a musical, you always have that song that sticks in your head. And even
What's the one that's stuck in your head today?
Can't Stop the Beat. And it's very apropos, because you really can't stop it. It just keeps coming back. And yesterday we get 1 day a week off. And so, yesterday while I was trying to get the yard done and the laundry done, and
You can't stop.
it's exactly it. It's all going through my head the whole time. It's like, get out, get out.
We know you have a great cast and some old family members from the Arvada Center
Yes.
returning.
Yes.
In that Mondo is coming back to do
Correct.
the costumes, and we saw some of the cast already that we'd seen in All Shook Up, for example. So tell me, how did that all come
This
together?
audition process was one of the largest turnouts we've had. In the complete process, we always audition in Denver first. And then on this specific one, we also auditioned for 3 days in LA, and we auditioned for 4 days in New York. So for the entire process, we saw over 800 people audition for this production. What was really wonderful on this one is we had so many younger performers show up that we normally don't get. because it is age appropriate for the show, and they are out of school for the summer.
If they're not already in equity, is this a way for them to earn points to get their equity membership?
Yes, they can, exactly. It's a equity membership candidacy, and there are certain theaters across the country that can allow that, and we are one of those. So a lot of them did join the candidacy program. But it was just so fascinating because watching the turnout, one of the first things I had my concern originally was, what is my age span going to be? Because they're supposed to be high school kids. And, I didn't want to get that Grease syndrome going where you've got 40-year-olds playing high school kids. But, that was trying to find first, was I going to have performers that were young enough, or was I going to have to scale everything up and then adjust on the other end as well? So we were extremely lucky and thrilled about the younger performers. So we have such a great mix. We have some from LA, we have a lot of local students, and a lot of our regulars. We have New York performers. Gabby Goyette's back with us again from New York, who we always love working with. So it's just so much fun to watch this cast blend and bond, and all the different levels and the energy and excitement. It's fascinating because you have these seasoned veterans with these young new performers that are just so excited. I wish I had half their energy when I was.
Well, maybe having Can't Stop the Beat stuck in your head will help you with that energy.
It definitely motivates you.
Well, I really appreciate you sneaking away during such a crazy time
my
for
pleasure.
you. I'm so excited to see this show, and we have 6 weeks to see it, or 5 weeks?
No, it's a 4-week run.
Only 4 weeks?
It's only 4 weeks.
So we know it's going to sell out. So we know they have
I'm
to
hoping
log
so.
on and get their tickets right away.
Definitely. Right now, opening night's completely sold out. And as I said, I know this is one the audiences are going to leave feeling great.
Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Eden. Thank you.
That's all for this edition. Remember to join us on Facebook and Twitter. With all that Colorado has to offer, we're here to help you keep it in focus. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Snugglebug.